Hello and welcome to The Perspective. I'm your host Rafae Khawaja, and in today's episode we'll be discussing Operation Istehkam. Of course, we know in that regards there was a recent rise in the terror incidents across the country. We know that in that regards, the Interior Minister of the country, Masud, also held press conferences where he said there's irrefutable evidence of the banned terror outfits using the Afghan soil for carrying out their nefarious designs across the region and specifically in Pakistan as well. This was said in regards to the TTP, and of course in that regards the Foreign Office spokesperson Mumtaz Zahra Baloch also reiterated and called upon the Afghan Taliban government to hold these terror outfits accountable and to curb their activities that they are using the Afghan soil to carry out their nefarious designs in neighboring countries. And of course in that regards, we know as the CPEC is also entering its second phase in Pakistan, there's a lot of foreign direct investment coming into the country. There's going to be a lot of business activity, but there needs to be a security situation, a stable and a stable environment where the security situation is at its best, and these are the challenges that are being faced by the country's leadership at the moment. And the Operation Istehkam has been launched in that regards. We know that it is a strategic operation, and an all-parties conference has also been convened in which all the political leadership of the country has said they will take part and be part of the dialogue on this counter-terrorism operation against the terrorist outfits. In that regards, we'll be discussing the different aspects of this counter-terrorism operation and the different challenges that are going to be seen with regards to this operation. In the studios, we have been joined by Brigadier Masud Khan, who is a retired, a security analyst. Along with that, we have been joined by Daniyal Sheikh, who is a journalist. Along with that, on Skype, we have been joined by Fakhar Yousafzai, who is a journalist, and Jamil, Ahmed Khan, who is a former ambassador. I'd like to thank you all for your time and being part of the conversation. I'll start off our conversation from Brigadier Masud Khan and ask him, regarding Operation Istehkam, we know there's a lot of economic activity in the country going on at the moment. There's a lot of efforts for economic revival at the moment by the government. With that regards, how crucial do you see Operation Istehkam, specifically when we talk about CPEC entering its second phase as well?
Thank you very much for giving me this time. And first of all, let's define Istehkam. Basically, it is a concept. It is basically a renewed commitment of intensifying the operations, and basically it is the build upon the previous operations undertaken in the past. And secondly, it is not basically a sort of a full-fledged operation or a sort of a attack, but it is basically to intensify those operations. And secondly, it will not be an indiscriminate operation anywhere across the country, and basically there will be no displacement. So it is basically a concept to build upon the previous operation. That is basically this Istehkam. And then as far as basically this terrorism has affected now our basically the foreign direct investment. The people, they are reluctant to come to Pakistan because it discourages them to enter into Pakistan to invest in any project. Secondly, it has affected our infrastructure. It has damaged our tourism. So when this concept, and we have seen recently the attacks on Chinese, especially in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, previously in Balochistan, then in Karachi. So these are some of the factors. Now the government has decided, the Apex committee basically it has decided under the leadership of the Prime Minister to take some steps. And the Apex committee, let me explain this Apex committee, the civil leadership, the military leadership, as well as the provincial leadership, and basically they decide, and basically it is part of the National Action Plan. So the Apex committee decides they assess the threats across the country, they identify areas of intervention, they basically authorize army to take operations or undertake operations in specific areas, and they also ensure the distribution of the resources according to requirement. So there was a requirement, and there is a requirement to undertake these operations to build upon the previous operations. Mainly it is the continuity of intelligence-based operations.
Right.
Now this will be launched with more impetus and strength and the areas required, but it is across Pakistan, and to ensure that economic activity is generated. And basically, when we talk of economy, economy is linked with your security, and security is to counter terrorism. So if we eliminate terrorism inside Pakistan, certainly Pakistan requires some time to prosperous and become a developed country.
Definitely. Brigadier Masud, of course, those were very good insights that you provided regarding Operation Istehkam. I'd like to include former Ambassador Jamil Ahmed Khan in the conversation and ask him regarding the Afghanistan situation. As Brigadier Masud highlighted with the operation, this is going to curb all the elements, these terror outfits, activities in Pakistan. But when we talk about Afghanistan, how can the Pakistani government, how can the Pakistani authorities, as they have reiterated time and time again to the Afghan Taliban side, to put an end to these outfits using the Afghan soil to carry out their activities in Pakistan, what more can be done regarding the Afghan situation, especially when we talk about the Doha Accords as well, and there's the Doha 3 meetings going on recently?
That's right. Pakistan has been emphasizing on the Afghanistan soil, which is being used for the terrorism in Pakistan. And it's not once, it's not twice, it's several times. We have raised this point. Now, Afghan Taliban, what difficulties are they facing? In fact, our engagement with Afghanistan Taliban would really make the situation a little more clear, and would also convince them to collaborate and cooperate. Why they should collaborate and cooperate? And now I have more hopes. After this Istehkam operation has been announced, and this Istehkam operation, as the Brigade Sahib has already defined, it's a consistency and it's a continuity. If this nation understands, and if this nation feels that terrorism is a problem, security is a problem, then this nation has to find a solution. All the other nations, whether it was Sri Lanka or any other country, they had the consistency and they had the continuity. I'll leave it here, come back to Afghanistan, and then I'll touch upon that subject at later stage. Now, Afghanistan Taliban, and this is the right time, in fact, and I would connect it with the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and what Prime Minister in his speech and otherwise what he has said there. Some of those points I'll enumerate in next 2, 3, 4 minutes time. So it's an obligation, as you said, Doha Agreement, and then followed by the Security Council resolution of 2022, and there are about 2 or 3 Security Council resolutions which urge Afghan Taliban to comply with the Doha Agreement. And one of the main salient features of the Doha Agreement is that they would not allow the terrorists and the terrorist activities generated from their soil. Now let's see what's the international law and how the regional players and regional actors, of which Shanghai Cooperation Organization is a very powerful platform which is emerging now. Security Council resolution of 2001 that was passed, and then at that time also all the nations, and Afghanistan obviously is one of the members of the United Nations, right? So all the nations were obliged to prevent and suppress the financing and terrorism and improve the border security. So Afghanistan Taliban also have this obligation, and the same resolution, as I said, it is 1373 that makes it mandatory for all the states, all the countries, member countries, that they should deny the safe haven. Now Afghanistan is doing that. Then Security Council resolution 1540. 1540 also narrates some of these points, and then comes 1624, which says that condemn the incitement of the terrorism and cooperation. Now the cooperation was discussed in Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Cooperation among the nations to curb this menace, and then so on. So there are so many Security Council resolutions, and Doha Accord is one of the major instrument which has been signed between 2 countries, the United States and Afghanistan. But there's another very interesting aspect of it, and very hopeful for that aspect. Afghan Taliban, as you might have monitored, that Russian permanent representative, means Russian ambassador to United Nations, just about 4 days ago, 5 days, he mentioned that Afghan Taliban should now be brought in the mainstream. It is a signal from the Russia that they are being now recognized and followed by China and followed by some of more countries. So if that is the case, that means there is some homework which has been done. There is a trilateral, quadruplicate the efforts which is already going on. That means Taliban would then be brought in, into the fold of the collaboration and cooperation. And basically, this is what the Prime Minister had mentioned in his speech. And in his speech, he was very, very clear that what all should be done. And this is what Masud Khan, our ambassador in the US, he also in his speech mentioned about some of the assistance which is needed. We understand that, and the world understand that we have conducted previously, and as it is understandable that the renewed Operation Terrorist Operation Against Terrorism is a dynamic process. In dynamic process, you keep adjusting. So we had Operation Al-Mizan, Nijat, Kohe Nijat, Zarbul Azb, Zarbul Fasad, so many operations we have done, but it had to be upgraded because the National Action Plan, which was evolved 20 points, that was then revised just 2 years ago. Now it's 14 points because some of the points have already been addressed about it. So NAP 20 points has now been reduced to 14 points, and that is in harmony with some of the Security Council resolution which I have just mentioned, and in harmony of what SCO had discussed and what the Prime Minister had discussed. What Prime Minister discussed there? He mentioned that it's a major issue. He mentioned that the terrorism, we have to have a meaningful engagement with Afghanistan. He mentioned that Afghanistan has difficulties. He mentioned that for the peace in the region, which is Shanghai Cooperation Organization initially, and still it's a regional organization which has been formed under the United Nations Charter Chapter 8. So Prime Minister also mentioned that we have to, the peace is the linchpin for the progress of and then Prime Minister, one very important point what he mentioned was CASA 100. CASA 100, it is basically, it passes through Afghanistan, comes to Pakistan, and which makes it one. And the Prime Minister also mentioned about the Afghanistan soil, which is being used for the terrorism. So all these points which has been discussed, what does it imply? It implies that the regional pressure would also now be asserted. And of course, at the same time, Afghanistan government, wherever they have their handicaps, that could be they could be assisted by the regional players like China, like Russia, like Pakistan, like other countries. Pakistan has been assisting. So now onward, what I feel of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, for the geopolitical reason, for Afghanistan, Taliban's, they seem to be very much interested as to be a part of this beneficial organization, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and the connectivity, which is Article 3 of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. The connectivity brings all the good fruits for the all the member countries. And it's not now 5 countries which started, it's 10 countries. And as you heard, Prime Minister's meeting with Putin, which was, of course, a bilateral, on the side bilateral meeting, but then it also addressed the Chinese president has issued the warning to the West to refrain from the mental core war. And some of those parts which has been shown in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization indicates that the Shanghai Cooperation Organization in the geopolitical context and in the direction from in which the global West is now drifting towards global East. And this Shanghai Cooperation Organization, 60% of the population of the globe is residing here, 40%, and 60% of the GDP. If we include the Eurasia also, it's here. Four nuclear countries, very powerful. They are here. So all these factors combined together, it appears that these regional players who now seem to be, and now there are more clarities, that they have mentioned it about the competition between the global West, led by the United States, and
right. Right, Ambassador Jamil, point very well made. I'd like to include Fakhar Yousafzai in the conversation as well and ask him, as we know, we're talking about regional connectivity, we're talking about the Central Asian states connecting with South Asia, but in that regards, we know that Afghanistan is going to play a key role as well when it comes to connectivity. Of course, it's going to be a regional cooperation partnership, but when it comes to the security situation, Afghanistan is going to be one of the key stakeholders. And in regards to regional connectivity with the Central Asian states and South Asia, do you think the regional stakeholders are also going to persuade Afghanistan to take action against those terror outfits that are having their safe havens inside Afghanistan and perpetuating their nefarious designs in the region at large?
First of all, I will say that Pakistan have talked so many times with Afghanistan after the Taliban regime in 2021. From that time to up to 2024 July, we have talked so many times with them, or defense minister or other political leaders have talked to him, but their response and their answer is very clear in what they are saying. They saying that TTP is your internal matter. If they are terrorizing you, if they are attacking your soldiers, your security organization or security personals, this is your internal matter. I have asked this question so many times from Ahmed Khan Muttaqi in Islamabad as well as in Kabul, and he replied the same answer every time. This is very important that we should, I think so, first of all, we should control our internal area in with the border and the other area of the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan, I think so. And we should pressurize, of course, Afghanistan. He is a key stakeholder for this region, and the TTP have so many places over there in Afghanistan. It's very clear. There is no doubt about that, but Afghanistan is not accepting this reality. This is the main thing, and this is the main problem. Who will talk to them and how to talk to them, that they should accept this reality that TTP is operating from their soul, not only from Pakistan. They have their footprints here in Pakistan as well, in the border areas from Bajwar to the Spin Bolak Chaman area. But they have the logistic support. They have the training areas in Afghanistan. I think so. The Afghanistan should accept it. But first of all, we should secure our border. We should increase our surveillance, and then we should pressurize Afghanistan from the different people like Saudi Arabia, like Qatar, like US as well. Russia and China can also play a vital role in this regard for Pakistan. But Afghanistan is not accepting. This is the denial mood is very interesting and very threatening for Pakistan. Today in Mardan area,
for the Chinese community at large.
Yeah, of course. If they will pressurize the Afghan government, China and Russia can play a vital role for Pakistan. Then might be possible they will accept, and they do something from their areas. Of course, our forces are doing. They are fighting this war from last 2 decades. This is not the new thing. Operation Azme Pakistan or Azme Istehkam. This is not the new thing. We have done so many operations before this, as Jamil Khan Saab said about that. I think so 8 or 10 operations we have done for the security of our country. But of course, Afghanistan is very important for Pakistan as well as for the other Central Asian countries. But the security situation is not good there, and our border areas is also affecting from them. They are affecting our CPEC projects. They are attacking our security forces every day in Balochistan, right, as well as in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. I think so we should talk to them as well as we should work on our border management. This is very important, I think.
Right, Fakhar Yousafzai, a very good point raised, and there are a lot of questions that are lined up for all of our panelists, but before that we'll have to take a short break. Stay tuned. Right, picking up our conversation, I'd like to move towards Mr. Daniyal and ask him what he thinks regarding when we talk about the geopolitical situation and the connectivity situation, the CPEC entering its phase 2, it's going to have a lot of impacts on the infrastructural development, it's going to have a lot of economic activities, and of course there's going to be B2B exchanges with China that are going to be increasing. And CPEC, one of the flagship projects of the BRI, the Belt and Road Initiative, which is focusing on connectivity in the whole Asian region at large. With that, do you think the regional stakeholders should play their part as well in persuading the Afghan Taliban to take action against those banned outfits that are using the Afghan soil to spoil peace in the entire region?
Well, before that, as you mentioned, the second phase of CPEC, basically what China wants is they want to revive their ancient Silk Route, which is it's a plan to link around 100 countries. It's going to link Asia with Europe, and and our stake in that, especially Gwadar, was supposed to be one of the biggest flagship ports in the region. So and till now we have not made the progress on it that what we should have. In 2018, as you know, when the government was changed, the entire process stopped, and whereas at the same time the work on Bandar Abbas started and they completed their their port. Anyways, so coming to your point, as far as Afghanistan is concerned, I personally I don't think there's an issue of resolve, especially because in February they refused to go to the Doha conference, but now they were there. They want to engage with the UN, they want to get themselves recognized. But if you look at the history of Afghanistan, the government in Kabul has never been in control of the entire country. So expecting them to go after safe havens after banned outfits with such little resources, I don't think it's a viable thing. As Mr. Yousafzai was telling us, I think the more viable option for us is to secure our own border and secure our own country, and for which we have already built a fence. And further, I think the security in the border should be monitorized and it should be improved. That's the way forward for us. Right,
Brigadier Masud, when we talk about the Afghan situation and the banned terror outfits, of course we talk about the TTP being a problem for Pakistan, we talk about different aspects, but there's one element that should be emphasized as well, that is the IS Khorasan aspect. And when we talk about the ISKP, it is not the same as TTP. It has potential to expand much more, and of course it could prove as a threat to not only the Asian countries or the Middle East, but also to Europe and the western side. How do you think with the ISKP growing more and more, do you think there needs to be an international consensus on how this wave of terrorism that is using the Afghan soil as a safe haven, it needs to be curbed before it starts expanding throughout the world, and of course it becomes a bigger problem as seen in 9/11?
An important question. There are 23 recognized terrorist outfits inside Afghanistan. 17 they are focusing Pakistan. Rest they are, as we have discussed recently, when we talk of stakeholders, there is Tehrik-e-Taliban, Tajikistan, they are focusing on Tajikistan. Islamic Movement of Uzbekistan focusing on Uzbekistan, and Eastern Turkestan Islamic Movement is focusing on China, and Islamic State of Khorasan, which has now become a global threat. And recently they demonstrated their power when they carried out attacks inside a concert hall, and subsequently they also carried out attacks previously in Kirman, Iran. So Islamic State, when we talk of Islamic State, it has become a threat, a global threat. And the CENTCOM chief, General Eric Kurilla, when he appeared before the Senate Arms Committee, then he said Islamic State of Khorasan has the potential to strike anywhere in West Europe, in the United States, and he said they can strike in 6 months without giving a warning or a little warning. So they demonstrated this concert attack, and that is a real threat. Islamic State that has, as per the record given by the United Nations Sanction Monitoring Team or Analytics Support and Sanction Monitoring Team, they also confirmed that is real threat. And also Al-Qaeda is gaining strength. After 9/11, the invasion of Afghanistan was to eliminate Al-Qaeda. Today Al-Qaeda has risen again. In 4 provinces of Afghanistan, they have established 8 of their bases. So they are training the suicides in Kunar they are training TTP suicides against Pakistan. Right. In one of the attacks, they basically accompanied when they attack TTP attacked a couple of our posts in Chatral. So Al-Qaeda basically sponsored, funded and accompanied them. So the threat of Islamic State is a very serious and is a global threat, and it has been acknowledged by the international community, the United States, the Russians, the Iranis, and all the others, and then also Al-Qaeda. In case of Pakistan, so TTP is a real threat, and basically there were six training camps when they were in the last 20 years of Ashraf Ghani and Karzai, and this was created by the Indians. So their focus was Pakistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and then the Balochistan. So they basically created this BROS, the concept Baloch Raji Ajoy Sangar. They basically combined all the Baloch militants, and they were given the mandate to focus on Balochistan and to Karachi, and later this was in 2018, and in 2020 they created a consortium of terrorist organization, and TTP joined them. And recently the man Nasrullah, who was basically captured in an operation by the agencies, so he confessed he was facilitated by BLA Bajid Brigade group.
Right.
He is a TTP commander. He was taken to Kandahar from Afghanistan. He met Mufti Wali. That also showed the presence of commanders inside Afghanistan. But they were supported. This is how Afghanistan has become an epic center of terrorism. But unfortunately, the development is a great game is being played inside Afghanistan. So everybody is now trying to control Afghanistan. And for example, China has accepted Bilal Karimi as one of their ambassador. So that is one factor. Chinese are also active inside Afghanistan, mining, etc. The Russians, they have given an indication of supporting, and recently in the SCO conference, Putin made a statement that we along with the Afghan Taliban will fight terrorism. So look, that is how there's a shift now. The Americans, they are also planning to open an embassy inside Afghanistan to undermine, to counter Chinese and Russians. So things are basically developing, but the threat is real to the Central Asian states, the Islamic State and other states, and also to the Pakistan. The United States acknowledges, the United Nations acknowledges, and other countries, and recently we have seen even the Russians, even the Collective Security Treaty Organization countries, the Central Asians, they understand the threat is real, and certainly Pakistan is the country which is affected more because of the cross-border attacks. The terrorists, they are using Afghan soil, the hideouts, they are getting funds, they are getting training, they are getting the manpower from Afghanistan. So we have seen in the past, there were 66 Afghan nationals, they were killed, who were basically crossed into Pakistan and accompanied the TTP. And out of 27 terrorist suicide attacks, 70s were undertaken by Afghan nationals. So Afghanistan is using TTP without any doubt as a proxy against Pakistan to pressurize state of Pakistan for many reasons.
Right, of course, that's a very important point raised, and I'd like to move towards Ambassador Jamil for the next question. Regards, as we talked about, how the ISK is capable of expanding its activities globally, and it's not just a threat to Pakistan, but to the international community as a whole, the whole globe, when we talk about the ISK Khorasan. Now, Ambassador Jamil, if we talk about how the international community needs to respond to these activities being committed by the banned outfits in the entire region by using the Afghan soil, and we talk about how the Afghan Taliban needs to curb these activities and put an end to these terror outfits. When we talk about inclusivity, when we talk about the basic rights that the Afghan Taliban committed to in the Doha Accord, and up till now when they talk about it as being an internal issue of Afghanistan, how do you think the international community and regional partners could persuade Afghanistan to take action against those, as because these will prove as a threat to the global community in the future, and the Afghan Taliban taking this issue a bit lightly?
Not really remain in isolation, because now the way they are trying to progress and the way they are trying to develop and the way they are trying to have a little handle on the administration of the Afghanistan. They need a collaboration, they need a cooperation, they need their funds to be released, they need their the economic activities to be enhanced, they need more investment to be coming in, they need the relations with other countries of the world, and this is what they've been requesting, that they should be recognized now. From the other side, as in the first segment, I was mentioning that there are certain international law, legal obligation which Afghanistan has not been able to comply with. Now let's just quickly review some of the facts. It is a fact that Pakistan somehow, because of its previous foreign policy, had to really participate in the war against Soviet Union. Everyone knows fact number one. Fact number two is that after the war was ended, Hillary Clinton was testified in front of the Congress, and Hillary Clinton herself admitted that we left Pakistan high and dry. Means that no rehabilitation, no further assistance to really rehabilitate. I was part of the United Nations mission in East Timor, and we had to rehabilitate all the freedom fighters who had been fighting 25 years, and there were a whole lot of type of a mechanism which was implemented, but the world community had come forward to really assist in that. So that is also a fact. Now the fact is that the Corps Commander meeting has happened today. The fact is that they have also recognized that this is an operation and military is capable of really handling it. The fact is that these 14 points, which is the leftover points of the National Action Plan, of which the civil government has to participate it fully well. It's a fact that some of the political parties have their skepticism. Their skepticism should also be addressed, in fact, with more engagements. And their skepticism is its use of these operations. I have initially mentioned, and then I'll come over about Afghanistan, how to really engage with them. And I had already mentioned that how Afghan Taliban are now getting interested to really come into the fold of the regional collaboration and cooperation in their own interest. So I'll touch upon in just next 1 minute. But the first thing is that the resolve to fight the terrorism is number one, and which has been his speech in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, where he that peaceful and stable Afghanistan is a key to the regional integration.
Of course, Fakhar Yousafzai, what's your views? As Ambassador Jamil mentioned that the All Parties Conference, the PTI has also talked about being part of the All Parties Conference. In regards to that, do you think there needs, as the national consensus is being formed by the political leadership of the country regarding Operation Istehkam and the threat emanating from Afghanistan by these banned terror outfits, how do you comment on the political consensus developing in the country, because it is an issue of national security?
Of course, it's very important, and our unity is the most important thing for each and everything. The war against terror, for the betterment of our economy, or a strong foreign policy. The political parties' unity is very important, and it's a good sign, I think, so that Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf is also participating. They have given a green signal for that they will participate in the all parties conference, which is regarding the Istehkam or Pakistan operation. It is very important. It's not only for the political party, it's for the morale of our forces as well. Of course, if the political parties will be united against our enemies, TTP or ISIK or someone else, of course, this will be a very strong message, loud and clear, that we are united against you and we can fight our war against you. This is very important. As well as the Afghanistan is concerned, have you talked about the interference from there? I think so. This is not the war is not the only solution for that. I think so. We should involve. We should, as I earlier said, that we should pressurize them in different ways. Not only that as Khwaja Asif Sab said that we can attack over there in Afghanistan. I think so. This is not a good sign for Pakistan and Afghanistan relation. Of course, Afghanistan is a small country in front of Pakistan, but it can create so many problems. Of course, they can make so many proxies against us, because they have the TTP and they will support openly against Pakistan. Therefore, we should go ahead, but very carefully. This is very important, and our unity is very important, and we should talk to the Afghan government. We shouldn't close the door of the dialogue with the Afghan government. This is very important, as well as the Doha dialogue was very important. Asif Durrani, the former ambassador, was representing Pakistan over there. The issue was very important, as the Prime Minister said about his speech was almost 60, 70 or 80% regarding the situation of this region and the terrorism which is affecting Pakistan. Of course, all the international community is seeing all this situation, that they are attacking us, and of course we should talk to Afghanistan with the help of our political leader, Maulana Fazlur Rahman can play a vital role. The other, the Baloch parties, as well as the PTI and other parties, we should give them the authority that they should talk, as well as our security forces should fight the war on terror against the TTP or other people who is challenging the threat of Pakistan.
Well, of course, Fakhar, in that regards, Operation Istehkam is a strategic operation and would focus on intelligence-based operations and lesser displacement. Daniyal Sheikh, what's your views regarding the political consensus that is arriving as we talk about the all-parties conference, where PTI has also talked about how there's going to take part in this all-parties conference, and there's the wider political consensus because it's an issue of national security and it gives a good message to the nation as well as the law enforcement agencies. How do you comment on that? And
for the first time in my life, I've seen some maturity in PTI, and for the first time I'm going to appreciate them for something. Usually I have a very biased opinion when it comes to them, especially because they being head of the provincial government and the province is responsible for law and order, and police plays a very vital role in combating terrorism, especially when it's scattered within the residential areas. It's very difficult for the army to come in, and because they're not aware of the local population. So a better policing system is very important to counter terrorism, which is already perforated into the neighborhoods, and the check and balance that the police can keep, the army cannot, and they're also aware of the local customs, so it's a lot easier for them to keep a check on the locals. So definitely PTI has shown a bit maturity, and I hope this continues, and I wasn't expecting this from them. And national consensus on this is very important, the way there is a national consensus on CPAC, because the security of CPAC is definitely linked to this situation, and KPK being on the front line, they're very much responsible and they have a duty, and I would appreciate their stance.
Right, of course, as we know, economic revival, there's so much efforts being put in for economic revival of the country at the moment. The CPEC entering its second phase, a lot of foreign direct investment coming into the country, but with regards to that, we know war is bad for business. This instability, the security situation, the security threat emanating from Afghanistan, it needs to be countered, of course, for Pakistan's own benefit and for the benefit of the international community at large. As terrorism, it has no religion, it has no motive, and of course it should be shunned in all possible terms as it can. With that, I'd like to thank all of our panelists that joined us today for the conversation. Brigadier Masud Khan, security analyst, former ambassador Jamil Ahmed Khan, Fakhar Yousafzai, journalist, and Daniyal Sheikh, political analyst. I'd like to thank all of you for your time and being part of the conversation. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Till then, take care.